Hello and welcome to Facebook tutorial part 2. In this video we are gonna enable our users to make posts and also retrieve them in real time. So let's jump right in. The first thing that I'm gonna do is to go inside my lib folder. Inside the features I'm gonna create another feature. This is gonna be called posts. The first file that I'm gonna define is a repository. So let's create a folder repository and also a file. I'm gonna call it post repository. So let's create our post repository and also let's make it immutable to improve performance. I'm gonna import immutable from foundation.dart and I'm gonna only show immutable. So let's create instances of file store and storage. I'm gonna create them very fast. At the next step, we create our make post method. This is the first method we're gonna define. So let's say make post. It is gonna be a feature of type string nullable. Let's call it make post. And it's gonna take a couple of properties. Let's define them. I'm gonna also import file from dart.io. Let's also make this method async and define a body. Inside the body, the first thing I'm gonna do is to put everything inside try and catch. So let's create a try and catch. And in case we have an error, we're just gonna return our error. Otherwise, I'm just gonna return null. So the first thing I'm gonna do inside this method is to create a couple of properties. Every post needs a post ID, so let's create it. We also need a poster ID, and that's of course the current user's ID. And the last thing we need is the date time, so let's get it. So in this step we're gonna post our file. It can be an image or it can be a video. So let's post our file to Firebase storage. The first thing I'm gonna do is to define a UID for that. At the next step, I'm gonna get my path. So let's go to storage, and I'm gonna get the reference. So inside the storage or reference, I'm gonna say post type. This post type is gonna be either image or video. So a folder with that name is gonna be created, and then I'm gonna say child, and that's gonna be our file UID. And this is gonna be the exact name of the file inside that folder. Next, we get our task snapshot. So let's say. So when we await our put file method, we're gonna get our task snapshot, and this is a step that we upload our file, and lastly we get our download URL. So now that we have uploaded our file to storage, we also need to upload our post, but before that we need to create our post object. So let's create it. But before doing that, we also need to define our post model. So I'm gonna go inside post. I'm gonna create a folder called models, and I'm gonna say post.dart. So let's create a post model, and I'm gonna call it post. So I also want to make it immutable. So let's say immutable, and let's import it from foundation.dart, and I'm gonna show only immutable. So every post has a couple of properties. I'm gonna define them one by one. So let's say final string post ID. We need a poster ID, and this is gonna hold the ID of the person who posted. We also need a content, and that's gonna be the text that you type with the post. And we also need a post type that specifies whether our file is an image or a video. The next thing that we save is a file URL, and it's gonna be the URL of the file that we have inside Firestore. Let's also define a date time, and that's gonna be created at. And the last property that we have is gonna be list of likes. So this is gonna be the list of likes each post has gotten. Next, I'm gonna generate a constructor for this, and Make sure it is also constant. We also want to create JSON serialization. So let's copy and paste everything. And I also want to import Firebase field names. And instead of publishers, I'm going to use created at. The same for here. So this is going to be our toMap and also fromMap method. So this was our post model. Let's go back to post repository. And now that we have our post, let's create a post. And I'm going to put all the properties. So inside the file URL, I'm going to say download URL. Inside the created that, I'm going to say now because it has been created right now. And inside the likes, I'm going to put an empty list. And as the last step, let's also put our post inside Firestore. So let's say, to save our post to Firestore, let's use Firestore instance and go to collection of posts. Inside it, I'm going to create a document, and that's going to be post ID. And then I'm going to set and say post.toMap. So this was all about creating a post. Let's also create a method for liking a post. Let's come below and say, I'm going to create a method. It's going to be a feature of type string. Again, I'm going to call it like, dislike post. And it sounds like we have defined in the wrong place. So let's come here and say, like dislike post. It is going to take two parameters. It's going to be required post ID and also the list of likes. Let's also make sure it's async and use try and catch. And again, if you have an error, return the error. And if you don't have an error, just return null. So let's start by getting the author ID. And this is the person who has liked the post. It means the current user. So first of all, check if you have liked the post or not already. So if likes contains author ID, it means you have already liked the post. So we actually have to unlike it. So let's go to Firestore collection. Let's go to post collection and find our post. And inside that, let's say we want to update. And the field that we're going to change is likes. And I'm going to say field value dot array remove. And I'm going to pass a list. And let's say it's going to be author ID. So if we have already liked the post, let's remove our like. Otherwise, it means that we have not liked the post. So let's do that. And I'm going to exactly copy the previous query. And the only difference that we have this time is instead of array remove, we're going to use array union. And what it does is exactly to add our like if it doesn't exist inside our likes parameter. So that was all. But it seems like we have an error. And the error returns to immutable. So let's make sure to import foundation.dart. And inside that, get immutable. So it was all about post repository. Let's also define our providers. To define our providers, we need to create another folder. Let's go inside post feature and create a new folder. And I'm going to call it providers. The first provider that we are going to define is post provider.dart. So this provider is going to be simple. The only thing it does is to return our post repository object. So let's define it fast. So this is basically all that our post provider is. So the next provider that we're going to define is get all post provider. And what this provider does is it is going to get all the posts from Firestore. So let's go inside provider and say new file. I'm going to say get all posts provider. So let's define our provider, and as you remember, this is going to be exactly like get user info as a stream provider. So let's open that one. This is again gonna be a stream provider, and what we do is exactly like this one, but I'm gonna create it from scratch. So let's say get all post provider, and that's gonna be equal to a stream provider. The first thing I'm gonna do here is to define my controller, and that's of type stream controller, and it's gonna be of type iterable, of type post, because what this provider actually returns is a list of posts. At the end of the provider, I'm gonna just return our controller.stream. So what I also forgot was to set my provider as add to this post, and I'm gonna set it of type iterable, of type post, so we know what our provider exactly returns. So let's create our subscription, and I'm gonna say final step is equal to Firebase Firestore dot instance. Let's go to new line. I'm gonna say collection. Let's go to post collection. And let's order them by date published. So let's say Firebase field names, and remember that I have used created that inside my post, and make sure this is descending. So let's get our snapshots and listen to them. And if you hover over this event, you see that this is a snapshot. So let's call it snapshot. And what I'm actually gonna do is to get my list of posts from it. So let's say posts is equal to snapshot.docs.map, and this is gonna be a single post item. So I'm gonna call it post data, and let's say this is a query snapshot. So I'm gonna say post.fromMap and postData.data. So this is how we actually get our list of posts. Let's say save. And now what we need to do is to say controller.sync.add post. So we needed to add our post to our controller. And before we forget, let's also dispose our controller. So let's say ref on this post. So when our provider is getting this post, because it is an add to dispose provider, we need to make sure we cancel our subscription and also close our controller. So this is basically all about getting our post. Using this provider, we can get all our posts. The next provider that we're gonna define is getting all the videos. So you may know that the only difference that we have between video and an image, it means both of them are type posts. So the only difference we have here is actually that our post type is video. So I'm gonna reuse this provider. Let's copy everything and create a new file. I'm gonna close this one and go inside providers. Let's call it get all videos provider.dart, and I'm gonna copy and paste everything and just change its name to get all videos provider. So this provider is basically everything that previous provider was, so we have nothing different. It returns an iterable of type post, and we get it all from post collection. The only difference is that we add one more condition here, and I'm gonna say you have to get a post as long as its post type is equal to video. So you only get that post if the post type is equal to video. So this is the only difference that these two providers have, and by completing this one, we have all our providers in place. So now that we are done creating our repository and also provider, let's start building our UI. So to be able to build the UI, I'm going to bring up my emulator and show it on the side. This is the UI that we are going to be creating, and I'm going to start creating this app bar and also this tab bar. So let's start inside our core folder, go inside widgets, and I'm going to create a widget called round icon button.dart. Let's create a setlist widget, and I'm going to call it round icon button. This widget takes a parameter, and that's going to be icon data. So inside the build method, we're just going to return a padding. The padding is going to be horizontally 5. And let's go inside the child. And then I'm gonna return a circle avatar. Let's give it a radius of 20. Inside which we're gonna have a child. And that's gonna be Flutter awesome icons. And inside that I'm gonna just put my icon. I'm gonna set a color. And that's gonna be app colors.black color. And for the size I'm gonna also use 20. Let's also give a background color to circle avatar. And that's gonna be gray color. So let's also import our font awesome icons. And now we are done creating it. So this is basically these two icons that you see. This is the base widget for both of these icons. Now let's go inside our home screen. Right now, as you see, we only return a center inside which we have a button. Let's clean it out. The first thing I'm gonna do is to go inside app bar, and I'm gonna create an app bar. Inside app bar, we're gonna have Facebook name and two buttons. So I'm gonna first define my title, and this is gonna be where I'm putting my Facebook text. Let's build it down here, and this is gonna be a widget. The only thing we do here is to say we have a text, and it's saying Facebook, and then it got a style, and you're gonna say text style. Color is gonna be app colors blue color. Font size is also gonna be 20. Let's also specify a font weight, and it's gonna be font weight.bold, and I'm gonna make it constant. But as you see right now, we have a problem, and this problem arises because we have forgotten this pair of braces. So to make sure everything is working fine, let's also run our application and wait until it finishes running. So our application is up and running, but right now I cannot see my Facebook button because it is hidden inside the blue app bar. So let's change our colors. The first thing I'm gonna do is to go inside my scaffold and say we have a background color of gray. I also go inside app bar and I'm gonna say we have a background color of white. So let's hit save. And now our text is seen clearly. But as you see, it is so small. So I'm gonna change the size to 30. Perfect. Let's also go and create our other buttons. I'm gonna also create the search and the messenger buttons. So I'm just gonna copy and paste. Let's call it build search widget. And this time, instead of returning a text, I'm gonna return an icon. It is gonna be a round icon button. And inside the icon we have a font awesome icon. And let's say we have font awesome icons dot magnifying glass. So let's go inside our actions. I'm gonna put my build search widget. Let's hit step and see what we get. Perfect. Let's also build our other widget, and that's gonna be build messenger. So let's go ahead and build it, and I'm gonna say let's messenger widget, and again I'm gonna return a round icon button, and inside the icon I'm gonna say Facebook Messenger. We are using font awesome icons, and it has already a Facebook Messenger icon. So let's also use it here. And as you see, the UI is perfect. So let's go inside the main.dart and get rid of the batch. And say debug should check mod banner false. And here we go. So the next step is building our tab bar. And to do that, we first of all need a stateful widget. Right now I have a consumer widget, so I need some steps to convert it to stateful widget. I'm gonna first of all convert it to stateless widget, so then we can automatically change it. And I'm gonna also get rid of widget ref. So let's convert it to stateful widget. And to be able to use the tab bar controller, I'm going to use a mixin here. And that's going to be with ticker provider set mixin. And now let's build our tab bar controller. Let's say final tab controller. And I'm going to say let final tab controller. Inside the native set, we're going to initialize it. So let's say tab controller is equal to tab controller. The length is going to be 5, and instead of facing, I'm going to say this, because right now our class mixes in with ticker provider set mixin, so we can use this as async. And also inside this post method, we can get rid of it. So let's define our dispose method, and I'm going to read off my tab controller. The second step that we need is to wrap everything we have with the default tab controller. By the way, if you want to learn how to create a tab bar, I have a video that I will put the link in the description. Let's also provide the length here, and that's going to be 5. And as the last step, go inside app bar, and inside the bottom property, define your tab bar. Here we go. And we need a list of tabs. I'm going to create them somewhere else. So let's go and provide other properties. Apart from list of tabs, we also have controller. And I'm going to put our tab controller. And we also need a non-tab. And for now, I'm going to put it empty. Later, I will fill it up. And as you see, our on-tab requires an int. And I'm going to call it index. So to define the list of tabs, because I want to make everything clean, let's go inside constants. And open up the constants.dart. I'm going to copy and paste the list of tabs I have here. So this is the list of tabs I have, and this is actually a method. This method actually returns as a list of tabs, and it takes as an index. And based on the index, it shows us the right icon. So this is the list of tabs. You can either get it from GitHub repository or write it down from here. So let's save it and go back inside our tabs. I'm going to call them by using my constants. So let's say constants dot get home screen tabs, and it requires as an index. So let's provide it an index, and that's going to be tab controller dot index. Also inside the on tab, the only thing we're going to do is to say set state to update the UI. So let's say save, and now you see our tab bar is ready. And if we click on these items, they're going to be filled or empty. The last step that we have is to display the correct screen based on the right tab. But right now, as we have not created all of these screens, so I'm going to just put placeholder for them. Let's again go inside our constants, and I'm going to create a file called strings. This is going to be a constant list of widget. I'm going to call them screens. And let's also make it static. So inside this file, the only thing I'm going to put is center text. So let's say center child text. And for the first screen, I'm going to say home screen. Let's copy and paste them for all other screens. Now that our screens are complete, let's also use them. Under tab bar, go inside body. This is where you have to create our tab bar view. So let's create our tab bar view. It takes us two parameters. The first one is going to be children, and let's provide our children, and that's going to be constant to the screen. The second property that we're going to provide is controller. So let's also provide tab controller and make children to be the last property. So now that we hit save, we see that correct screen is going to be displayed. So the next step is to create our post screen. So let's design our make post widget. And if you want to know what is make post widget, let's go back to the complete project. This is going to be make post widget. And let's go and design it. I'm going to go inside features, post, and create a new folder. This is called presentation. Inside presentation, I'm gonna create a folder called widgets, and inside that I'm gonna create a file called make post widget.dart. So let's go inside this widget, and as our focus is not gonna be UI in this series, so I'm gonna just copy paste all the codes. And as you saw earlier, this is gonna be a very simple widget, so don't worry. I'm gonna modify code a little bit because we missed some of those widgets right now. So what we basically have here is sliver to box adapter, because inside our post screen, everything is gonna be put inside a custom scroll view. We have a gesture detector because when we click on that widget, we're gonna go inside create post screen. We have a container, color of white. We have a padding. Inside the row, we have a profile tile. We have a text field, and we also have an icon. So we have defined our text field here, but this is not an actual text field, because when we click on it, we go to the next screen. This is basically a text inside a container with some padding and also borders. So let's also define our route profile tile. I'm gonna go inside widgets and create this file. Let's call it round profile tile.dart. So I'm gonna define it as a stateless widget. And the first thing that we have is a padding. It's gonna have a padding of horizontal 8. Inside the child property, we have a circle avatar. The radius is gonna be 20. We provide a background color of gray. And we also have a child. And instead of child, I'm gonna use a background image, and that's gonna be a network image with the URL. So let's also get the URL. So this is basically it. Let's go back and make sure we import it. And now our UI is ready. But because right now we don't have any user, so I'm gonna just show a fake profile URL. So now that we have defined this widget, let's go inside our post screen. But right now we don't have any screen like that, so let's go inside posts, presentation. I'm gonna create a new folder called the screens, and inside that I'm gonna create posts screen.dart. And again, I'm gonna make it a stateful widget. Let's call it posts screen. So inside this widget, I'm gonna return a custom scroll view, because we're gonna have so many scrolling widgets. And inside the silhouette property, I'm gonna say make post widget. So now let's just save. But the problem that we have right now is that inside this home screen tab, I have used a fake data. So let's go inside our constants. And this time I'm saying, instead of using a fake screen, I'm gonna use my actual screen, and that's gonna be posts screen. Let's also import it, and now hit save. Right now that we hit save, we see that our widget appears, but we have a problem. We have elevation that we don't want, so we need to go up to home screen, and inside the app bar, let's say elevation is gonna be 0. And now as you see, everything looks perfect. So let's start creating our create post screen. For that, I'm gonna go inside my presentation and screens. Let's create that. This is gonna be a stateful widget. So let's say stateful create post screen. And to be able to navigate here inside the widget part, I'm gonna define my route name. Let's also register this inside our routes. I'm gonna go inside my routes file and let's register it. I'm started. Let's say create post screen and also create post screen. Beautiful. Now let's go inside our make post widget. And inside gesture detector, I'm gonna navigate to that screen. So let's say, and here we go. And as the project has stopped, so let's run it again. So the project is running again. Let's go and click on this. And as you see, we can start create a account screen. Create make post screen. And let's go inside that screen. So let's say create post screen. And as you see right now, we only have a placeholder. So let's start building it. The first thing I'm gonna do is to define my controller, because inside create post screen we have a text controller. So let's define it. And let's also make it late. I will also initialize and dispose it. I also want to define a variable called file. This is gonna hold our file, whether it's an image or a video. Let's say file nullable, and I'm gonna call it file because it can be either an image or video. And let's make sure to import it from Dart.io. So I'm gonna start designing my screen. Inside the build method, return a scaffold. The first thing I'm gonna create is an app bar. So let's create that. I'm gonna say app bar is equal to app bar. And inside the app bar, we have actions. Inside the action, I'm gonna have a text button. Inside the on-press, we have nothing for now. And inside the child, we're gonna have a text. I'm gonna call it post. So let's press hot reload and see what happens. Yep, it is done. But we also need to change the color of app bar to white. And I'm gonna use app colors. Beautifully done. But the problem that happens is that the back button is white, so it disappears. I'm gonna go inside my main.dart. And I guess I've forgotten to use my theme. So let's go and use theme. And if you know, we have created our theme inside app theme class. So let's go here and say app theme dot app theme, and let's hit save. And now you see that our back button color changed automatically because I have defined everything inside the theme. And I guess I have also defined a color for my app bar, so I don't need to explicitly change it. So let's go back inside my create post screen and change the color. True. I don't need to change its color explicitly. And instead I have already done it. So the next step is to create the profile info. If you go inside the complete tab, you see that we have a profile info. It's showing a profile ID, name, and also a public keyword. So let's create it. So let me create the profile info. For that, I'm gonna go inside widgets, presentation, widgets, and create a widget called profile info. I'm gonna define it as a consumer widget. Let's call it not consumer but profile info. We also need to import material.dart and also Riverpod package. So let's import them. Inside the build method, we need to return a future builder. So let's return it. Inside the future builder, we first of all pass a future. Inside that, we're gonna say ref.read of provider.getUserInfo. This is where we actually use this provider. And inside the builder, we have a method. It passes a context and also snapshot. So let's check for our state. And if our state is waiting, we just return a loader. That's right. So if our connection state is waiting, let's return a loader. Then we check if our snapshot has data. So if our snapshot has data, we get our user. And for that, we return our widget. That is actually a row. Rest of the cross-axis alignment to center. inside the children property, we first of all have a circle avatar. Let's see if we have a listed right place. That's right. So we have a circle avatar. It has a radius of 20. And inside the background image, we pass a network image with the user.profilepic URL. And we also assure that we have it. I'm gonna put a size box under that with a height of 10. And under that I'm gonna have my text, that is full name. So let's say user.fullname. Let's give it some style. I'm gonna pass text style. Font size is gonna be 18. And we also have a font width of 500. At the next step, we put another text under that. But because I want to put two texts on top of each other, I need to use a column. So let me put my text inside a column. And let's say children. Inside the column, we say the main cross-x alignment. The main x alignment is going to be space between. And the cross-axis alignment is going to be start. So let's go under this text and put yet another text. And that text is going to be our public keyword. Let's also pass it the style. And we have a text style. We need a font size of 14 and a color of gray. And lastly, we go again to our checks. If our snapshot does not have data, I'm just going to return another loader. So our profile info is ready. Let's just go and put it inside create poster screen. So let's go inside our body. The first thing that I'm going to pass is the padding. And for the padding property, I'm going to say constant.default padding. And inside the child, I'm going to put a column. And inside the children property, I'm going to set my profile info. And to make sure we don't get any UI error, I'm going to wrap everything inside the single chart scroll view. So let's say save. And our widget appears. So my data is not loading. Let's see what the actual problem is. I'm going to go inside profile info. And I see that if we have an error, we are returning a loader. So let's return an error screen instead. So if we have an error, it will show us. I'm gonna just return a text and say snapshot dot error dot toString. And as you see now, we have a problem with typecast. And whenever there is a problem with typecast, we have to check our model class. So let's go inside user.dart because we're taking user info. And as you see, we have three items with the type of list. So the error says that list of type dynamic cannot be set to type string. So here we have typecast name as list string. So let's remove it and instead say if the data is null, just return an empty list. Let's do them for all other ones too. Let's hit save and see what happens. The error is gone. But we still have an ugly UI. So let's work a little bit more on this profile info. So let's add some space between these two. And I'm gonna come here. And add this circle avatar. But inside the row, I see instead of a height, you have to add a width. So because this is horizontal space, let's add this one. And here we go. It looks a lot better now. So let's go back inside our create poster screen. And I'm gonna add my next widget. So let's go under this profile info. So the next widget that I'm gonna be adding is a text field. Let's call it. This is gonna be a text field. First of all, I create a controller for this, and we have already created that. Let's say post controller. We have a decoration. I'm gonna remove all the borders and add a hint text. So let's add them. So now our text is being added, but the hint text is a little bit unreadable. So I'm gonna say dark gray color, and now it looks better. Let's also make it multi-line. So I'm gonna say outside the decoration, keyword type is gonna be text input of the multi-line. I mean line of 1 and max lines of 10. So that's pretty much it, all about our text field. Let's add some space here. I'm gonna say add a size box here with a height of 20. The next widget that we're gonna be adding is pick image widget. So if you go inside our complete app, first of all, we have two buttons here, and if you click on any of them, we're gonna open an image picker. If you click on this one, we're gonna open a video picker. And if you pick an image, for example, now we're displaying the image. And if we pick a video, we're gonna display the video. So this is gonna be one of the most complex widgets that we have created here. Let's go back to our UI and start creating that. So I'm gonna first of all create something called pick file widget. Let's go underneath and say we have a setlist widget. I'm gonna call it pick file widget. So this widget is gonna be easy. We first of all create two callbacks for it, one for taking a video and one for taking an image. So let's say so let's also add them to the constructor and put a comma here. So let's go inside the build method. I'm gonna just put a column with two text buttons on top of each other. So let's do them fast. So let's also put this widget here. And for now I'm gonna put two empty callbacks. And let's say save. And now you see we have these two widgets in place. So let's also improve the UI, and if you see in the complete app we have a divider between these two. So let's add a divider and make it constant. And now that it's safe, not only we have a divider, but they are also centered. The next step is to add functionality to them. So I'm gonna go inside these two callbacks. Inside the pick image, I'm gonna say our file type is equal to image. But as you see, we have not still defined our file type. So let's go at the top of the file and say we have a string called file type, and let's equal to image initially, because we don't want to end up with a null file type. So let's go here. Initially we set our file type to image. If we pick image, and then I'm gonna say file itself is equal to await. So let's make this method async, and I'm gonna say pick image, and that's it. We also need to set state to update the UI if you have picked the image. And then we go inside pick video, and I'm gonna say file type is equal to video this time, and file is equal to await pick video. And you also need to make it async. And I'm sure we have a method called pick video. Let's check it out. I'm gonna go inside pick image. This is defined inside utils. And we may have forgotten, but let's create this method. So pick video method is exactly the same as pick image with some small differences. I'm gonna go and say, let's call it pick video. And don't forget we're inside lib core utils and utils.dart. I'm gonna call this one video. And inside pick, I'm gonna create an instance, and instead picking an image, I'm gonna pick a video. As simple as that. And this time we cannot set max height or max width. Instead of that, I'm gonna say max duration. Let's say we have a max duration of 5 minutes. So video should not be too big. So if our file is not null, I'm gonna say video is equal to file.path, and lastly I'm gonna return my video. So that's all we had to do for that. And now we also have a pick video, and after we pick our video, we press set state. So this is all, but right now if I go and pick my image, I'm able to pick the image, but unfortunately I'm not able to show it because we yet don't have a method for showing it. The next step is adding ability to show our images and videos. So let's create our image video widget, and that is the widget that is gonna display an image or video based on the post type. So here I'm gonna specify a condition, and I'm gonna say if our file is not null, show our image or video. I'm gonna say image video view. This widget is gonna take two parameters. The first is file, and that's gonna be file, and then we have file type, and that's gonna be again our file type. But if this is null, just return our pick image widget or pick file widget. I'm gonna go inside my widgets and I'm gonna create that. This is gonna be a stateless widget. It takes two parameters, a file type of type string and a file of type file. Let's also add them to the constructor, and I'm gonna use a short way. Inside constructor, we're gonna return either an image or video, and so let's check a condition. If file type is equal to image, I'm gonna return image.file, and that's gonna be file. Otherwise, I'm just gonna return video view. Sadly, there is no video view widget in Flutter, so we have to create a complete view for that. Let's also get rid of this import that we don't need. I'm gonna create my video view here. This time we are gonna use a stateful widget because we need to initialize our video. The first thing I'm gonna take is the parameter. Let's call it video and import it from dar.io. We also need to add it to the constructor. So the first thing I do inside video view instead is to create my controller, and that's gonna be late final video player controller, and I'm gonna call it video controller. Let's import it, and here come back, it's working. Now we need to initialize it, and I'm gonna say init state. Let's say video player, okay. If I can type it, video controller is equal to video player controller. So it wants to specify data source. I'm gonna say it's of type file, and I'm gonna specify widget.video. Then I'm gonna say let's initialize it, and when the initialization is done, let's also perform steady state. So I'm gonna say do a steady state, and I guess that's pretty much all. Let's also define our dispose method, and again I'm gonna say video controller dot dispose. So I guess everything is done correctly. Let's go inside UI. So inside UI I'm gonna return the stack because I want to stack my video player and the play controls. There's gonna be an icon button, but I also need to define an aspect ratio. So let's wrap it with a widget of aspect ratio. And how do we get our aspect ratio? And that's through our video controller dot value dot aspect ratio. When we initialize our video controller is gonna automatically find our aspect ratio and display that for us. Inside the stack children, the first thing I'm gonna return is video player, and I'm gonna just pass my controller. And next I'm gonna have a position. This is where we put our controls. So we need to make our video centered. So for that purpose, I'm gonna say all its 4 properties is gonna be 0. And as this child, I'm gonna put an icon button. Inside on press we put nothing for now, but inside the icon I'm gonna put my icon. But I want to display a different icon based on is playing or not. So let's take care of our spelling. I'm gonna define a boolean is playing flag is called to false initially because the video is not playing initially. And inside the icon I'm gonna say if we are playing, let's show icons dot pause circle. Otherwise I'm gonna show an icon of play circle. The size is gonna be 50 and the color is gonna be white. So let's also take care of playing itself. And again I'm gonna check. If you're already playing, you just need to say video controller dot pause. Otherwise, if you're not playing, you just need to say video controller dot play. And every time that we change our play to pause, we're gonna also update our is playing. So is playing is gonna be opposite of is playing. And lastly, we need to set the state to update the UI. So I guess that's pretty much it. Let's go and make sure we import everything. And inside video view, let's pass our video, and that's of course file. Let's also go inside create post screen and import our video view. So I have a typo here, so let's now import it. And let's make sure file is not null, so it's safe. Right now, because we have picked an image, it's showing an image. And if I go back and pick a video this time, see, this is gonna show me a video, and I can also play it here. So that's pretty much it. We have created our create post screen. The next step is actually making posts to the Firebase. So let's also have a button for posting. I'm gonna go inside, pick file widget. Let's define a size box with a height of 20. And under that I'm gonna define a button. This is gonna be a run button. So let's use run button. On press is empty for now. And I'm also gonna say the label is post. So let's hit save. And I notice the application has been stopped. So let's also run it again. So our application is running again. Let's go inside create post screen. And once again I'm gonna pick an image. So let's pick the first one. Our image is being displayed as well as our button. But right now if I press on this button, nothing happens because we have not used anything. To be able to actually post something, we need to use our Riverpod. But we can only use our Riverpod if we have a consumer widget. So I'm gonna turn my entire stateful widget into consumer widget. So the method is simple, like always. Let's add consumer everywhere. Let's also import Riverpod. So that's pretty much it. Let's just go down and create a method for posting. So this method is gonna be async. The first thing I'm gonna do is to start is loading, and I think we still have not defined our is loading. So let's say is loading is equal to true. But as we don't have is loading, let's go and create it. So I'm gonna say come here, boolean is loading is equal to false. It is initially gonna be false. But when we trigger our loading, it is gonna be starting. But what happens when is loading is on? If its loading is on, I'm gonna show a loading indicator instead of this button. So let's say if ER is loading, just show me a center with a child of circular progress indicator. Otherwise, show me the button, and that's it. Let's also come to make post. So after we are done with this loading, let's call our provider I'm gonna say ref dot read post provider, and I'm gonna say make post. We need the content, and that's gonna be post controller.txt. We also need a file. This is the exact file. I'm just gonna use a null check operator. I also say that the post type is gonna be post type. It should be working fine, but why doesn't it? So with enough post type, let's see. I have defined my post type above, and that's gonna be file type here. So I'm gonna say file type. So when I'm done posting, I want to get out of the screen. So let's say navigator.pop. And before that, I also want to stop its loading. So let's say set the state and it's loading to false. There is also other cases when I'm gonna stop its loading, and that's if we get an error. So let's say we also handle catch error, and if an error happens, I don't care what error we have. I'm just gonna say set the state and its loading is equal to false. So let's say save, and I think we're pretty much done here. So let's use this make post inside this button. We also need to use it inside this button, and let's say save. And now I'm gonna click on it and also write the text my PC. Let's hit post. So it took quite a while and the post was unsuccessful. I changed the code a little bit. The only piece of code that I've changed is bringing it false is loading here. So let's see if it works this time. I'm gonna go again and pick this time a different image. I'm gonna pick this one and let's say. So let's hit on the post and see if we're successful this time. And yes, we are successfully posting it. So let's go to the Firebase and we see that we have our post collection and we have 2 posts, because I also did another test post. Let's also go to our storage and we see inside the image we have 2 images that I just posted right now. So now that our users can make posts, let's also be able to retrieve them. For that reason, I'm gonna go inside my post screen. I'm gonna define a post list widget. Let's define it. Posts list. Let's create this widget below, and it's gonna be a stateless consumer post list, and let's also add an s here, posts list. So what this widget does is actually returning a list of all the posts. Let's import Riverpod. Inside the build method, I'm gonna first of all get my post, and that's equal to post is equal to ref dot. We're gonna watch our get.post provider. So now this post is gonna be an async value. So let's say we're gonna return our posts.when. We take care of all the states. In case we have data, I'm gonna call it posts list, and let's say we return a sliver list dot separated first half item count, and it's gonna be post list dot length, and then we have item builder and separator builder. I'm gonna first of all build a separator builder. It is gonna give us context and index. I don't need any of them, but I will just keep their name. And the only thing I'm gonna do is to return a size box with the height of it. So that's all. And inside the item builder, I'm gonna first of all get my post. So my post is equal to post list dot element index. And the only thing I do for now is to return a text that's gonna be post dot content. Inside the error, I'm gonna first of all return a sliver to box adapter Let's don't forget we're inside the custom scroll view and all the charts should be slivers. And as this chart, I'm gonna return my error screen. Let's also take care of loading. Again, we're gonna return sliver to box adapter. And inside that, we're gonna have our loader. So that's pretty much it. And as you see, we already have our post that is app logo and my setup. And one error that I noticed I had was inside my get all posts provider. You should come here and instead of using created, you have to use date published. Because if you go inside your post, you see that we have date published. So I initially committed this mistake and I could not get the list of my posts. So make sure to go and change that inside get all post provider. So let's start building our post style. I'm gonna go inside my widgets, and before we build our post style, I'm gonna build a widget that we're gonna use inside our post style and also inside another feature. So I'm gonna go inside lib core widgets and I'm gonna build post info tile.dart. This widget is gonna be used inside both post and also story. So let's build it. It's gonna be a consumer widget. So let's say set this consumer post info tile. We also need to import Riverpod and also our material. This widget is gonna take two parameters. They're gonna be a date publish and also user ID. So let's add them to constructor. Beautiful. We also miss our key. So let's also add our key here. So inside the build method, we first of all need to get our user. So let's go and say final user info is equal to ref.watch get user info by user ID provider. Let's see if we have this provider. Get user info. As we see, we have two providers that are saying get user info provider. So let me go to the file, get user info by ID provider. But I have forgotten to make it get user info by ID provider. So now let's go back and say get user info by ID provider. And it's going to take a parameter. And I'm going to pass my user ID. So it is basically getting the profile information for each user that we pass to. And then we're going to return userinfo.when. So we take care of all the states. Again, you know how we do this, so I'm going to do it very fast. And inside the data, I'm going to say, we first of all need to get the data. Our data is a user. So what it basically does is to first of all return the padding. The padding is going to be symmetric, horizontally 15, and vertically is going to be 8. Then we have our child. It's going to be a row. The main axis alignment is going to be start. Let's also go inside children. The first property that we pass is a circle avatar. And we pass a background image. So let's say background image. And it's again going to be a network image. And that's going to be user dot profile pic URL. So this is basically our circle avatar. And if you want to have an idea of what we're building, let me go back to the complete app. This is what we're actually building. This is our profile URL, name, date publish, and also this button. So after circle avatar, we have a size box with a width of 10. Then we need to specify a column because we have two widgets on top of each other. So let's get up this dialog, and I'm going to set a cross-axis alignment at the start. Inside the children, Obviously we have two texts. So the first text is gonna be user dot full name. I'm gonna give it a style. And we also have another text, and that's gonna be date published. So let's also create that. And that's gonna be exactly date published that we got. And I'm gonna say from now. But right now we don't have this extension. So let's go to our extensions. And using this Jiffy package, I'm gonna create another extension. Let's call it from now. This extension is on datetime, and again I'm gonna say it's gonna be called from now. So then the thing it basically does is to say from now. It returns how much time has been passed since now. So let's use it again. From now. Beautiful. We also need to specify the style, and I'm gonna say text style, font size of 14, and color of gray. Let's make it constant. So that's basically it. And after this column, I'm gonna return a spacer widget. And after that, I'm just gonna return an icon, and that's gonna be icons dot more horizontally. The icon that you saw this. So this is basically our post info tile. Insert post string. Let's make sure we return a post tile. And this post style widget is gonna get a post, so I'm gonna pass my post there. And let's go inside widgets, and I'm gonna create that post style. It is gonna be a stateless consumer. I'm gonna get my post as a parameter. Let's also import Riverpod and material. So let's start building it. We need a container, and I'm gonna pass a color. That's gonna be colors that's white. Inside it we have a child that is gonna be a column, and inside the column I'm gonna say post info tile. It requires a date published, and I'm gonna pass post dot create that. And also we need user ID, and that's gonna be post dot author ID. Or let's see what we have named it here, and that's gonna be poster ID. So let's go to this page and import it. And now if we hit save, we see that each post shows us post info. So let's go back inside the post tile. I'm gonna make a comment here and say post header. The next part that we're gonna build is gonna be the post text. So let's say post text. So post text is gonna be nothing special. It's gonna be just a text, but I'm gonna also add the padding. The padding is gonna be again symmetric, horizontally 15 and vertically 5. It's gonna have a child, and I'm gonna put my text, and this is gonna be post dot content. So let's hit save to get the formatting right, and we're now also able to see this. And inside this column I'm gonna say the cross-axis alignment is gonna be start to make sure it displays at the beginning. So that's right. The next widget that we're gonna be showing is our image or video. We already have an image or video widget, but that's not gonna be useful here because then we were working with files and now we're working with URLs. So let's create a new widget for that. I'm gonna say post video or image, and let's create a widget that's gonna be post image video view, and again this is gonna get a file URL, and now I'm gonna pass post dot file URL, and it's also requiring as a post type. I'm gonna say post dot post type. So let's go and create this widget, and again I'm gonna go inside widgets and create post image video view dot dart. and this is gonna be exactly like image video view. So I'm gonna copy everything, paste it here. First of all, I'm gonna change this name to post image video view, and instead of a file, I'm just gonna get a file URL. Let's also name it file URL. And here, instead of showing an image.file, I'm gonna show an image.network, and I'm gonna say file URL. And last, inside the video view, I'm gonna show a network video view. Inside the video, I'm gonna say video URL, file URL. So this step is also done. Let's go and create our network video view. And again, I'm gonna go inside my widgets. This must be familiar this time. So let's create our network video view dot, and you may already guess, but this is gonna be so much similar to video view. So I'm gonna copy all the codes and put it inside my network video view. Again, I'm gonna first of all change its name to network video view, and instead of a file, I'm gonna get a string video URL. The controller is gonna be the same, but this time instead of a file, I'm gonna get a network URL, and for that I'm gonna say URI.parse widget.video URL. So this is all the chain that we had to bring. Again, we're gonna initialize them, and again we're gonna set state. And as a video controller, again we're gonna have all these the same controllers. So let's just import everything here and also here. And post image video view requires as a file URL, so I'm gonna say file type instead of a post type. So let's hit save now, and as you see, both of our posts have image. Beautiful. So the next part that we're gonna build is actually our post status and also buttons. So let's go into building it, and here I'm gonna say post status and buttons. For that, I'm gonna first of all create a padding, and inside the padding I'm gonna say this is the padding that we're gonna have. And again, we have a column because we have two of them on top of each other. So if you come to the complete tab, you see this is actually we want to create. This is called post sets, and this is my post buttons. So let's create them. And so the column I'm gonna put children, and the first shot that I'm gonna be creating is post states. So let's create post states. I'm gonna say post states, and the only thing I'm gonna be passing is likes, that is equal to post dot likes. So let's start building our post states. I'm gonna create a stateless widget and say post states. But before we finish building post states, I'm gonna build my round like icon, because this is one of the widgets that we're gonna use inside it. So let's go inside widgets, and I'm gonna say round like icon.dart. This is a very simple widget. Let's create a stateless widget, and I'm gonna call it round like icon. And all it actually does is to return a circle avatar. It got a background color, and that's gonna be app colors dot blue color. And inside the child, I'm gonna have a font awesome icon, and let's say its icon is font awesome icons dot thumbs up. Let's use a solid one, solid thumbs up. I'm gonna have a color of white, and let's specify a size of 15. And I also want to have a radius, so let's say the radius is gonna be 12. So let's also make it constant. And now let's come back and start building our widget. So we first of all get our list of likes. That's gonna be a list of type string likes. Let's also come here and get it. So what I basically return here is a row, and main axis alignment is gonna be start. Inside the children property, we have 3 children. First is gonna be our like button. So we say like round like icon. The second is gonna be our size box with a width of 5. And lastly, we have a text that's saying likes.length. So now if we hit save, we have our post status. And the last widget that I'm going to be creating is our post buttons. So let's also create that. This time we are using consumer widget. So let's say set this consumer, and I'm going to say post buttons. This is the list of buttons that we have inside of our posts. It takes one parameter, and that's going to be our post. So let's also add this to the constructor. Inside the build method, we return a row. The first property that we're going to provide is main axis alignment, and that's going to be space around. I have my children, and that's going to be 3 of icon text buttons. So let's also define our icon text buttons. Again, I'm going to go inside my widgets and define maybe my last widget, and that's going to be icon text button dot dart. So I'm going to paste all the code for this button, and this is actually pretty simple. We take 4 parameters, that's icon, label, an unpressed, and also a color. And what you actually return is a row with an icon, a size box, and also our text. So let's return it, and let's come back inside here. So let's import our icon text button. It has 2 required properties, and that's going to be icon and also label. For the first button, we have an icon of font, awesome, icons dot thumbs up. I'm gonna later change it based on whether we have liked the post or not, but for now let's be like this. For the label, I'm gonna say like. Let's also copy and paste it. We also have an icon for comment, and this is gonna be a solid message. For the share button, I'm gonna just say share and also a text of share. So let's put our post buttons in their place. Let's come back here and say we have post buttons. Let's also hit save. And now as you see, we have our buttons, but we need some more space here. So before putting my post buttons, I'm gonna post a divider. Let's hit save. And now as you see, it looks beautiful. I guess I have used the wrong icon for the comment. It's gonna be message, not map. So now it looks better. So our UI for post style is almost complete. Let's now also add functionality. I want to add a functionality to my like button. For now, comment and the share button is not gonna do any work, so I'm gonna go inside like button and change its functionality. I'm gonna add constant before these 2 buttons. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to say if our post is liked or not. I'm gonna say final is liked is equal to. That's the likes list of the post contains my UID. That is how I check it. So now let's go inside our like button and say if this is liked, you have to show a solid thumbs up. Otherwise, you're gonna show a simple thumbs up, and you have to use this icon. I also need to specify a color. So if it is liked, you're gonna provide a blue color. Let's say app colors dot blue color. Otherwise, you have to say app colors dot black color. I also want to provide an unpressed, and let's make it the last property. And inside the unpressed, I'm gonna use my reference and then read my post provider, and then use like dislike post. So let's provide them. I'm going to say post ID and also the list of likes. Let's say post.likes. So let's also hit save. And now if I go and like my post, you see that my like is updated successfully. So now we can basically post and also like our post. The last feature that I want to put in this video is ability to watch videos and also ability to retrieve videos from Firebase. So let's go inside our post screen. I want to be able to watch these videos in this tab, and what we do is exactly like what we do inside post screen. We actually get all the posts, but this time we only get posts that have a video tag. So for that reason, I'm gonna copy everything that we have here and create a new screen. I'm gonna call it videos screen.dart. So let's copy everything here, and I'm gonna change its name to videos screen. And this time we don't have feed make post widget. And should I keep my custom scroll view, because we're gonna have only one post, and I actually don't think we need that. So let's go and say we get everything that inside the post list, and I'm gonna put them directly here. So we don't create any new widget called videos list. But the only difference that we have here is let's turn it into a consumer widget, and we also need widget ref. But this time I'm gonna say get all videos provider. Thank God we have defined everything earlier. So let's go and organize our imports and hit save. But right now nothing happens because we first of all don't have any videos, and second we have not used our screen anywhere. So let's go inside our home screen. Here when we define our tabs, let's go and say instead of this text I'm going to put my actual home screen. So let's say videos screen, and we may have forgotten to name it videos screen. This is actually videos screen. So let's copy it and also paste here. I'm gonna import it, and now let's go and post a video. I'm gonna go inside my post. I'm gonna pick a video. Let's learn how to create a sliver upper in Flutter. So let's also post this video. This video is almost too small, so it shouldn't take too long. So yes, our video is posted. We can like it like an ordinary post. And now let's go to video tab. And here we have a problem. Let's see what the problem is actually. I'm gonna hard restart. And the problem very well could be because we have used a sliver inside a non-sliver. So I'm gonna get rid of all these sliver to box adapters. But I'm not sure if this is a problem. So let's remove these widgets from here, also from here. And instead of a sliver list, I'm gonna use the list view, simple list view. Let's also make it constant. So now if we hit save and go back to this tab, we have to be able to see our video. But there can also be another problem, and that's because we have used a little bit complex query, so we need to create an index for this. And we need an index. Firebase will always give you a link, so I'm gonna just click on this link that's inside the errors. And we only need to click save, and after a little bit time an index is gonna be created for us. Then we can view our video. So our index is being built. Let's head back to our project, and I'm gonna just press hard restart. So now let's head back to our videos screen, and now we don't get the index error, but we may have an UI error because our video is not being displayed. We can actually watch it here. but not there. So let's see what the actual problem is, because as you see, you can actually play it. But if you go inside the video tab, we don't have it. And I noticed that we have the same problem, the same we had when we wanted to retrieve our post. So let's go to get all videos provider, and let's say here, instead of creating that, we're going to be using date published. And now if we hit save, everything should be working fine now. So let's go back, and I'm going to reload everything to see if it works fine. Let's go back to video part, and now everything is working fine. So this was all about today's tutorial. In the next video, we will show you how you can comment on the post, and I will also show you how you can send and receive friend requests. So see you in the next one.